walked outside, and I just noticed the trees uprooted, water pouring down the driveway, my vehicle windows all smashed, dented, the tiles from the roofs annihilated, punctured into cars, windows blown out, just devastation.
But tonight, a state in shambles after Milton rips through Florida. At least 12 people are dead and millions have been left without power. I'm Gadi Schwartz, and this is Stay Tuned Now. And right now, we are looking at a near blackout in central Florida as nearly 3 million people head into a dark night without any power. First responders have been working tirelessly to rescue people stuck in the floodwaters all day, and Tampa officials say they have done 500 rescues so far, like this 14-year-old boy found floating on debris. That's the rescue that you're seeing right there on your screen. Rescuers in Polk County saved a young mother and her 4 kids from rising floodwaters after a storm surge came rushing into their home. Take a listen to this.
The refrigerator started floating. I turned out the power. Me and my children hopped on the oven. And once we hopped on the oven, I called my mom and told my mom, I think me and my children are about to drown to death.
And it wasn't just the rain and the flooding, it was high wind as well. Together, they were strong enough to completely rip the front off of somebody's home right there. You're seeing it flying in the air. And despite being built to withstand 115-mile-per-hour winds, strong enough to rip the roof right off of Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg. And the storm surge trashing boats left in the water, in some cases fully lifting them out, leaving them stuck on dry land. And on top of all of that, the National Weather Service got reports of 38 tornadoes yesterday, the highest ever issued on a single day for the state. They left behind a trail of deadly destruction. NBC meteorologist Bill Cairns will join us in just a few minutes. But first, let's start with NBC's Tom Yamas and the latest with those tornadoes.
This is the terrifying moment a massive tornado ripped through Fort Pierce. Look at the debris spinning into the air.
Oh, violent tornado.
And this video capturing a twister in Palm Beach Gardens. Look at how quickly and violently it envelops this house, sending debris flying and blowing out the windows. Both tornadoes part of a deadly outbreak spawned by Hurricane Milton.
We are very, very saddened to see a tornado inflict such serious damage, including loss of life.
According to initial reports, at least 38 tornadoes touched down. The twisters flipping semi-trucks, tearing down trees, and reducing homes to piles of rubble.
This wind came through here. If Michael had not grabbed that door and closed it, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here.
In St. Lucie County on Florida's East Coast, a tornado tore through a retirement community, killing at least 6 people, including Debbie Kennedy. Her daughter telling us she was an incredible mother and caregiver.
This is a 100% rescue mission.
Today, Sheriff Keith Pearson telling us they are still searching for survivors.
Just a complete devastation. I mean, cars, trailers, where there were homes, they weren't. They were lifted up, they were moved, they were crumbled.
Those that survived look like this. Boris Melboff can't believe he's alive.
Truck started to roll over and it stopped, and then once again.
He's covered in stitches all over his arms and up his face. He says he never saw the tornado until his truck started flipping.
Leaves started to fly, something hit the truck.
Pretty powerful to roll over your truck, right?
Yeah.
You'll never forget that, huh?
No.
HCA Florida Lawnwood Hospital took in 15 patients with tornado-related injuries, some with broken bones, others that needed brain surgery.
What did the patients tell you? Were they taken completely by surprise?
They were, and it was like they themselves, they didn't know what happened. Most of them, they just felt like a lot of wind hit the place, and all of a sudden, something catastrophic happened for them.
This was an incredibly traumatic situation.
It is. It is.
Some remarkable stories of survival. NBC News Now anchor and senior national correspondent Tom Yamas joins us now from Fort Pierce, Florida. Tom, Fort Pierce saw some of the worst of the tornadoes. What's the situation out there on the ground?
You can see it just behind me. I mean, this house right here, taken by a tornado. The homeowner who I was able to speak with told me they were able to take cover inside the closet of the master bedroom. But imagine trying to survive this, and they did. Unfortunately, others weren't so lucky, Gadi. In a retirement community just across the street from here, several people died, and they're actually still looking for people because they're unsure how many people they lost, because some people live part-time in that retirement community. Some people might have evacuated, and there's just so much destruction. The homes are literally like rubble, even worse than this, and they're digging through all that, trying to make sure that they're okay and that they've rescued everyone. The governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, has provided search and rescue teams, and the sheriff here of this county, St. Lucie County, told me that they're going to keep working until they make sure they have everyone and everyone's safe. At that hospital, they were treating 15 people, like I said, people that needed broken bones repaired, and some people that needed brain surgery. They needed surgery to their abdomens. I mean, so they were dealing with all types of traumatic situations.
I mean, the force of those winds is absolutely staggering. And Tom, you guys were in the thick of it last night. I think the last time we talked to you was around midnight last night. You were, I believe, hunkering down, kind of stranded in a parking garage. Can you take us through what your team experienced into daybreak there?
Right. I know what you mean, stranded, but we weren't stranded. We had the whole team there. We were in a secure location, but yeah, we had to stay put. We couldn't leave because those hurricane force winds were all around us, and it was way too dangerous in Sarasota with that storm surge rising. We stayed there through the night. We were able, some of us, to go and stay overnight in a hotel. Members of our team also, some of them stayed in the parking garage overnight as well, covering that story. And then we were up early for the Today Show for a special report to make sure that we could provide viewers with what was happening on the ground there. Listen, that storm surge, it receded pretty quickly, and those sort of streets that turned into rivers, by the time we woke up, they were gone. That water had gone away, and you're going to hear from our meteorologists that the storm surge wasn't as bad as predicted in a lot of areas, especially Sarasota. But those hurricane force winds were the real deal. They were way too serious to be outside, and we had that moment with you when we were reporting when that transformer exploded. So it was a dangerous situation. That hurricane has now passed. The tornadoes that happened here, though, Gadi, I think that is going to be one of the things we remember most about Hurricane Milton, those surprise tornadoes that killed so many.
Yeah, Tom Yamas, I appreciate your incredible reporting out there. I'm glad you and your team are safe. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And let's go to NBC meteorologist Bill Cairns, who's joining us now. Bill, what is the latest with Milton? Is it well on its way out to sea now?
It's all gone. All of the storm surges, warnings have been done. Water levels are falling in northeast Florida, and the storm itself is no longer even tropical. So just a few showers on the backside of it are still near the Space Coast. So this was the landfall last night at about 8:30 p.m., and you can see the center and the eye here. Now, what was missing, and then one of the reasons I don't think we had the extreme, high end of the storm surge was because we didn't have thunderstorms wrapping around the core. They were all displaced to the north, and that's why we got so much rainfall here, by the way, in the Tampa and St. Petersburg area and all the inland flooding. But that, I think, that reason was one of the why we're at, the prediction was 9 to 13 feet. I haven't even seen anything as high as 9 feet for the maximum surge. I'm guessing it's probably somewhere south of Sarasota. We're waiting for the official reports. We do know for a fact it was 5 to 6 feet at least, but that was to the south here around Fort Myers. So in this area here from Venice to Inglewood, I'm sure these barrier beaches, we'll see more pictures of them tomorrow when hopefully they open back up, and that's probably likely where we had that higher storm surge. The rainfall, even though because one piece, the surge was a little lower, the rainfall was pretty epic. I mean, 12 to 18 inches here in many spots, and of course St. Petersburg with that 18 inches of rain, that 5 to 9 inches of rain at this time yesterday in 1 hour, 5 inches of rain. Imagine that. That's why we had so many pictures of people being rescued and pulled out of their homes because that water just was, it couldn't flow out. It was just, it was too much, too fast. Venice Beach was the highest wind gust, so that's where we have, the most widespread wind damage. It's obviously where we saw that landfall, and even in central Florida, 60 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts. That's why we have 3 million people without power from Tampa right through that I-4 corridor, Gadi. So, yeah, pretty spectacular storm, and it did just about the damage we expected, with the exception of the storm surge.
Yeah, a lot of people grateful that storm surge didn't materialize in the way that we expected. And yet, looking at those tornadoes, those tropical tornadoes that we saw last night, what was fueling the record-breaking number that we saw?
Yeah, so to be clear, now we did have about 38 reported tornadoes. We'll get confirmation on exactly how many, but the strength of the tornadoes, what's likely going to be record-breaking. We've had hurricanes before that have produced as many as 120, 130 hurricanes. This one produced 38, and of course, this was over a narrow area, though. I mean, this wasn't like making landfall in the southeast and going all the way up the east coast like Beryl did with over 100 tornadoes. This one was concentrated right here, especially the west-east side of Florida, the Vero Beach area to Fort Pierce, just north of West Palm Beach. And not just, you showed the pictures, Gadi, and these weren't just small tornadoes. I mean, these were like full-blown, like the tornadoes that can destroy houses. Typically with hurricanes, we get weaker tornadoes that maybe can damage your roof, not ones that can tear your whole house in pieces.
Yeah, Bill Cairns, thank you so much. And speaking of those tornadoes that ripped through Florida yesterday, before Milton even made landfall in St. Lucie County, Florida, one couple says they outran a powerful twister. In fact, they say it was this one, the one that you see right here. We're going to be joined by Katie and Tim Kuhn right now. Katie and Tim, first of all, we are so glad you guys are safe. Can you take us through how you were able to escape?
Yeah, so we were at the property, and then it was about 4:45, and there was just a very big lightning storm that started, and it was going from the front to the side to the back, and it was just very abnormal, and it was very powerful lightning. So at that point, the horses in the pasture, who were ignoring us at one time, ran to the center and started facing the southeast of the property, but there was a big hedge of trees, so we couldn't see. So we ended up trying to get out to see what they were looking at, and then we got a call that a tornado was headed kind of what they thought was right towards us. So we had to jump in the trucks, and we just drove as fast as we can to get away from it.
Where did you take cover?
We actually had to stay in our trucks because, it was a very difficult experience, just as far as the pressure change, staying calm, trying to get out of there, because my husband saw it and my kids were seeing it, but he was in a truck in front of me. I was in my truck. We didn't even have time to shut the gates at the property, and we just hauled butt, and we just tried to kind of run faster than it, but it was really big and it was moving really fast. So we went down Seminole Road, we took a left on Indrio and kind of went out to 95, which then we thought another one was coming. So then after we watched the big one that we were originally outrunning past Indrio, we kind of went back towards our property after that.
Wow. How's your home? How's your family holding up?
So luckily, we kind of just dodged it. As far as our home and our actual property, it was parallel to us. It was 2 minutes from our house. It took out the big buildings on Orange Avenue in Fort Pierce. They're brand new. And then it went parallel down Kings Highway and just kind of paralleled us on the road that we were on and the road the tornado was on, and just kind of did one of these. So wow. From there, it went towards Vero Beach, and unfortunately, I think on the way is when it hit that retirement community, which, God bless them, we're praying hard for them right now.
Yeah, our thoughts go out to them. We're watching this video of these twisters ripping through, and they are moving so fast. I mean, if you had to estimate, you were traveling in 2 trucks. How fast were those tornadoes moving, or that one?
I mean, we could only go so fast because the roads were flooded. The amount of water that we got here, just since, I don't know if it started raining at 2 o'clock on, and this tornado hit at 5, but I've never seen my property flooded, and my driveway into my property was underwater. So half of the roads, we were trying to drive as fast as we can, but not hydroplane, and hit a guardrail or anything like that. So, I mean, I would say we were trying to do 30, 40 and just stay out of the water. But, I mean, it just seemed like we weren't going to be able to get away from it.
Katie, I'm so thankful that you are safe tonight. Our thoughts and prayers are with your family. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
And meanwhile, just over 100 miles west of St. Lucie County lies Charlotte County, one of the many counties battered by Hurricane Milton. Streets there have been absolutely swamped with water. You see there's a bridge, a dock that could be washed away at any moment there. Dana Griffin joins us now from Punta Gorda, the capital city of Charlotte County. Dana, Punta is right on the water, right? So how much damage are they dealing with today?
A lot of damage, and let me show you, Gadi. Take a look. These boats look like they have been thrown around like toys. These boats were actually sitting on stands. This is something that you do in this community before the storm rolls in. It's a precaution so that they don't get moved, but that's just how high the storm surge came in. You can see them leaning over. All of these boats, most of them, I'm told, are likely going to be totaled. We spoke with a boat broker who had a really big boat that's back there. You can't even see it. He says he was going to close a sale on that boat this week. He says that deal is likely off the table, so he is now going to try to figure out how to recoup his losses. Also, a boat adjuster showed up here and says these are going to cost millions of dollars. And he says if you had a boat in the water, it is likely damaged. Listen. Tell me a little bit about what we're seeing here. It looks like these boats got picked up and just dropped.
That's basically, they were dropped by the water. It was carried all over here, all back there. I mean, it's catastrophic.
From 1 to 10, this is a 20. If the boat was in the water, it's going to have some kind of damage, and I can say that it's going to be millions of dollars.
And he also says that he has shown up here because he wants to reach out to these boat owners, because he says a lot of times when you have hurricanes like this, some of the insurance companies will try to offer a fraction of what these boats are worth. And so he says advice for people, if you have a boat out here, definitely do your research and try to hire some sort of adjuster who can help you get the most amount of money possible. Gadi.
Wow. And Dana, this community, like so many others in Florida, we're still recovering from Helene when Milton hit. What are you hearing from those that have gone through both of these storms now?
Yeah, they say that this has been the worst. This has been like a double whammy. I spoke to one woman. She is 81 years old. She's lived in her house for 51 years. She's on a fixed income. She does not have flood insurance, and she has no idea how she is going to recover. Just 2 weeks ago, she was sweeping out flood water from inside her home. We're taking a look at it. And now she's got to repeat that process all over again. She took us inside her home. We got to see all the damage, so many items waterlogged. And we spoke with her daughter, who was also there, and they can't wrap their heads around it. Listen to part of our conversation.
She's lost everything already, and now whatever she got fixed up and repaired and put back together is gone again.
And how long did it take you to clean the first time?
7 days. 7 days, 9 days, 9 days, 9 days.
How are you feeling right now?
I'm heartbroken.
She's heartbroken. Now her mother is going to stay with her until they try to figure this all out. But you have so many other families and businesses in this community that are doing the same thing. We drove up and down the neighborhoods. People were trying to sweep water out of their businesses, opening up the doors to try to let some air in. But there's going to be so much damage, and people are still assessing that it will likely take years to recover in this community. And this area wasn't even a direct hit, but that just goes to show how vast the impacts are when a hurricane of this magnitude hits the state of Florida. Gadi.
And Dana, what's the latest on the power situation there?
Yeah, so I just looked it up. There are less than 500 power outages in this particular county, but we know that I believe millions lost power throughout the height of the storm. We lost power at our hotel last night. That was a bit of a challenge, but for obviously people who have lost everything, power is kind of the least of their worries. Many people are sleeping in the dark, waiting for those crews to come in, assess the damage, and try to get them back online so they can get a better image of their homes. But for some people, they may be in the dark for a few more days. Gadi.
Dana Griffin in Punta Gorda. Thank you so much, Dana. Between 2 hurricanes and a slew of other natural disasters, FEMA's been very busy lately. But in the middle of all this, there are new concerns about staffing. NBC senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez has that story.
Tonight, FEMA is stretched thin, the agency blowing through nearly half of its money for the next year in just 8 days.
How concerning is that?
It is very concerning, but let me be clear. We can meet the immediate needs.
A lot of storm surge. It's rough. Very rough.
FEMA's responding not only to Hurricanes Milton and Helene.
To get FEMA to reimburse you for your damage, you have to have documentation.
But also flooding in Vermont, tornadoes in Kansas, and more than 500 other open disasters dating back years. Just 8% of its highly trained workforce is listed as available.
What worries me most about the staffing levels is just with so many disasters happening at the same time that they're going to run out of people.
As for the storm response, President Biden says FEMA has enough money for now, but he's pleading with Congress to set aside more for small business disaster loans. Gadi?
And now let's bring in Brian Gleason. He is the comms director for Charlotte County in Florida. Brian, thanks so much for joining us. How did your county weather the storm last night?
It was a mixed bag. We had a lot of angst early on. There was a triple whammy with storm surge and rain and hurricane force winds. We only got really bad storm surge. We got less of the other two, but that created some really catastrophic conditions along our coastline and our low-lying areas.
And what are your top priorities right now for recovery?
Right now, we're still in search and rescue mode, making sure that everybody's accounted for. We had very good compliance with our evacuation orders in 3 of our 5 zones, and so we're in good shape, but we're going to continue to do that until everybody's accounted for. We have some serious problems in low-lying areas in our coastal barrier islands, so that's what we're doing first, and then we'll move into recovery.
And getting access to those barrier islands is pretty problematic when it comes to a storm like this. Are you using air assets? Is it mostly boats? How are you able to search?
2 of our biggest islands have bridges, so that's not a problem. In fact, just late this afternoon, we had to close public access to Gasparilla Island, which is where Boca Grande is, which is a fairly famous enclave for the rich and famous and powerful, because the situation on that island is so dire that we just have to be able to do our search and rescue and clean up without having to work around cars and people and bikes and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you think that you've got the resources that you need right now?
Yeah, we had a lot of resources that were pre-positioned in Charlotte County, National Guard, high water vehicles. We had FDEP here, FDEM. We've got FEMA here. We've got FP&L here. We've got a lot of ambulances here, whole convoys of ambulances. And we're going to start ramping up our distribution centers that are supported by FEMA tomorrow.
And we've been seeing the images coming out of your county, and they're pretty catastrophic. You've been out, I imagine, to survey some of the damage. What do you think the long-term recovery is going to look like there?
It's going to be taking a long time. We are 2 years away from Ian and 2 weeks away from Helene, 2 hurricanes that caused widespread damage. Helene was the first of 5 or 6 hurricanes in the last 20 years that actually produced storm surge. And that actually, I think, saved lives in this storm because we got such good compliance with our evacuation orders because Helene was a lesson that you don't mess with storm surge.
Brian, our thoughts are with you and your community, and we hope the best for the next upcoming weeks, months, and years of recovery, as you just mentioned. Brian, thank you.
Thanks for hearing our story.
Don't go anywhere. We are just getting started on Stay Tuned. Up next, we're going to head to Pittsburgh, where former President Barack Obama is on the trail for Kamala Harris. We're going straight to that rally for the latest from Kelly O'Donnell there. Plus, Diddy Combs gets a court date for his sex trafficking case, what his lawyers are saying about leaked video. And we are celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month here tonight. We're going to introduce you to a family that has made mariachi more than just a tradition, but a way of life. And now they are sharing that love with Los Angeles Rams fans every single week. That's coming up later this hour, so stay tuned. Hey, welcome Welcome back, and here's some of the other headlines we're watching tonight. Inflation looks like it's cooling, dropping to the lowest level since February of 2021. Now, the new number is showing prices climbed 2.4% over the last year. That's a little bit higher than what was expected, but lower than the numbers from August. Jobless claims are also up, too, but the Labor Department's blaming that partly on Hurricane Helene and that ongoing Boeing strike. And Ethel Kennedy has passed away. The matriarch of the Kennedy family suffered a stroke last week, and her grandson confirmed that she was receiving treatment when she died. After losing her husband, Robert Kennedy, she pursued a lifetime of public service. She was 96 years old. And tennis superstar Rafael Nadal is stepping away from the court. The 38-year-old is one of the greatest players of all time, winning 22 Grand Slams, which is the second most wins ever in men's competition. His last match will be next month. And Tesla is rolling out its long-awaited robo-taxi, or it's expected to, and Elon Musk is expected to unveil Tesla's first driverless car in a few hours. We could also learn details about their plans for a robo-taxi service, which could compete directly with Waymo. The reveal is going to happen tonight at the Warner Brothers studio lot just down the road in Burbank. And a severe solar storm is on the way tonight and tomorrow. It could disrupt power, transformers, and radio signals. But on the flip side, the northern lights could be visible for millions, even as far south as Alabama. And we are less than 1 month away from Election Day, just 26 days to be exact. And former President Barack Obama is now on the trail for Vice President Kamala Harris. He just wrapped up a Pittsburgh event where he called on people to vote while going after former President Donald Trump quite forcefully. Take a listen.
Donald Trump is a 78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems since he rode down his golden escalator 9 years ago. We don't need 4 more years of arrogance and bumbling and bluster and division. America's ready to turn the page. We are ready for a better story. Pennsylvania, we're ready for President Kamala Harris.
And the vice president is in Phoenix, Arizona right now, arriving there literally in the last few minutes. She's going to be holding a campaign rally there in the next hour. Let's bring NBC's Kelly O'Donnell to help break this down for us. Kelly, what are we hearing from the former president?
Well, this is battleground Pennsylvania, Gadi, and it is important for him to try to connect to voters here who have outsized power. A handful of battleground states, those voters will determine the outcome. And the former president won this state, this Commonwealth, twice when he was the candidate. And part of what he's trying to do is to convert those voters to Kamala Harris voters, and more than that, also trying to connect for an important Senate race here, because each party wants to have control of the Senate with the White House in order to get an agenda accomplished. And so there's a lot of work for Barack Obama to do. Of course, he has a relationship with voters in this state, and especially African-American voters, although his appeal goes much beyond that. But with former President Donald Trump trying to win some support, especially among minority men, that's a place where Barack Obama can connect, can try to make the argument for Vice President Harris and Governor Tim Walz to get out and vote this time, and for Democrats beyond that. And this is a rally for the vote, but it is also a piece of what Barack Obama is doing on behalf of his party, raising money, doing content creation to be a part of the new way that people communicate about voting, and doing ads and outreach. So once a community organizer, I guess always a community organizer for the former president. Gadi?
Yeah, kind of the OG of social media campaigning, yes, if you will. Kelly, what's the latest with these possible plans for Harris to take part in a town hall?
Well, the Harris campaign tells us that they have agreed to participate in a town hall format hosted by CNN that had extended an invitation to both the vice president and former President Trump for a debate, to have another debate this cycle. The former president is not budging on that. He says one debate was enough with him and Vice President Harris. He also did one with President Biden, and that, in his words, he says it's too late in the election cycle, even though in in past years, he has done October debates before. So in place of that, Kamala Harris is going to do a town hall format. We don't have all of the details yet, but that'll be later this month, and it'll be an important chance to have a big audience and to take questions and be challenged in that way when many voters are looking for the little differences that can help them to decide for that small number of voters who are still undecided. Gadi?
Kelly O'Donnell, thank you. And as we mentioned, Vice President Kamala Harris is in Phoenix one day after early voting started in Arizona. In fact, early voting getting underway in more and more states this week. And Harris is just one of many Democrats hitting Arizona this week. Here's what her running mate Tim Walz says about how immigration could impact her campaign.
Well, I think voters focusing on immigration helps, because I think what they've seen is that we're leaning into it. We're talking about what the solution is. And again, I think these folks saw it. Donald Trump wasn't doing anything about it. He certainly didn't build his wall. He didn't have Mexico pay for it.
Now let's bring in NBC News correspondent David Noriega. David, a lot going on in that battleground border state, and in the background of all of this today, we saw some DACA hearings held as well in the Fifth Circuit Court. Harris is drawing some fire from the left on her turn on immigration recently. How's that playing out right now in Arizona?
Yeah, Gadi, great question. So here in just outside Phoenix, the stage behind me is where Vice President Harris is set to take the stage in the next hour. And what really stands out to me about the way that the immigration issue is playing out here in Arizona specifically is particularly when it comes to Dreamers, who you mentioned, how absent they are from the discussion, right? And how much that reflects a dramatic change in not just Vice President Harris's positions on the issue, but the entire Democratic Party's positions on the issue, right? Just a few short years ago, Dreamers were a major part of the Democratic Party platform. Today, you're hard-pressed to hear them talk about Dreamers or talk about, immigrants, long settled immigrant communities in the United States, focusing much more on the border and on this pretty sharp tack to the right that Harris and the entire party have taken on the border. Now, I've asked a couple of people here at this rally, Harris supporters, whether they mind that Harris has kind of stepped away from some of these past progressive positions. Generally, the answer, including from some Latino voters, Gadi, has been that they don't mind. Either they aren't paying close enough attention to be fully aware of these kinds of in-the-weeds policy positions, or if they are aware of them, they just see it as a strategic move on the part of a sort of pragmatic and savvy politician that she needs to do to get elected, and that is what they want to happen. So, it's remarkable how little, for example, the hearings before the Fifth Circuit today in New Orleans have come up, given how consequential they might be. This could lead to the end of DACA and the loss of status for 500,000 Dreamers, but it's just not really coming up unless you ask about it, Gadi.
Yeah, for those that know Arizona politics, a very notable absence there. Meanwhile, can you talk to us about early voting in the state? Any indication on how turnout for early voting might go in Arizona?
Well, so early voting just started yesterday here in Arizona, so it's a little bit too early to be drawing conclusions about numbers, turnout, but that is one of the main things we're going to be looking at. Again, not to always bring it back to Latino voters, Gadi, as I do, but one of the main issues to look at with the Latino electorate is turnout. It's a demographic that has had turnout issues, particularly for the Democrats in the past. So if we, by say next week, if we see some interesting numbers in terms of Latino voters turning out, exit polls, that kind of thing, then we may be able to start drawing some conclusions. But right now, as of right now, it's a little bit too early to tell. That said, the fact that early voting started here yesterday is the reason that the Harris campaign is doing this blitz in Arizona, right? But every major member of the campaign is either here or has been here in the last couple of days. Here, Gadi.
Super insightful reporting. As always, David Noriega, thank you so much. And earlier, former President Donald Trump visited the battleground of Michigan, where he spoke to the Detroit Economic Club. NBC News correspondent Shaquille Brewster has the latest from there. Shaq?
Hi there, Gadi. Well, with the race here in Michigan, a battleground state, of course, extremely tight, former President Trump earlier today addressed the Detroit Economic Club, talking a lot about the economy. Now, it was a long speech, nearly 2 hours long, where we heard the former president really on the attack, going after the Biden-Harris administration for the latest inflation report, saying that inflation is still too high. He went after Vice President Harris for the hurricane response, even went after the Federal Reserve, saying that they cut interest rates in a way that was political. But beyond the attacks, we did hear some substance and new announcements in the speech from the former president as he tried to make a direct appeal to auto workers here in this state. He said that he would use tariffs to bring manufacturing back to the United States, something that he has definitely said before. He said he would revise the tax code to shore up manufacturing and start and spur investments in the auto industry. And the new thing that we heard from him today is that for everyday buyers of cars, for those car loans, he would make the interest on those loans tax deductible. That's a new idea that said he was proud to be able to announce here in Detroit. Now, of course, the economy, when you look at polling, is one of the top issues, the issue that voters say they care most about. That was definitely the case in this room full of business leaders. I want you to listen to what a few of them told me just before former President Trump took the stage.
While there may be more jobs, right, there may be more people working, there's still a lot of challenges for people to be able to pay their bills and just keep the basic quality of life.
The cost of living is extremely high. The cost of food is very high. The cost of gas continues to fluctuate. I just, want to be able to live my life in a way that I don't feel like I'm giving up most of my paycheck.
And of course, Democrats here in Michigan taking advantage of the former president's visit to this state. The party putting up billboards across the area pointing to what they call Trump's anti-worker rap sheet, highlighting manufacturing jobs that were lost under his presidency. And we even heard from the president of the United Auto Workers Union, Shawn Fain, who in a press call earlier today highlighted some plants that were closed as Donald Trump was president. You just get the sense that economy is the issue that both parties are focused on, and as the race heats up, both sides are really highlighting their messaging as we get closer to Election Day. Back to you.
Shaq Brewster, thank you. And we're following some breaking news out of Colorado. A tragedy at a mine turned into a tourist attraction has left one person dead. There is a race to rescue several others who were trapped. We're going to tell you all about that. But first, you got to see this. This is the reason you don't want to wade in hurricane water. Someone in Fort Myers caught an alligator snapping at their car tire on video, and that was not a small animal. There are a lot of things in those floodwaters that you don't want to go anywhere near, and this is a perfect reminder. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back, and here's some of the stories happening out west that we're following right now. The trial for Brian Kohlberger, the man accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students, has been pushed back. A new judge says the trial will now start in August of next year instead of June. The judge still has to decide if the death penalty can be considered if Kohlberger is found guilty, and that hearing is going to happen next month. Boeing is withdrawing its contract offer after union talks ended without a deal this week, claiming the union didn't seriously consider the proposal and made non-negotiable demands that could not be accepted. While the union says Boeing refused to improve wages, retirement plans, vacation, or sick leave, and it has now been nearly a month since Boeing union workers walked off the job. And Las Vegas has said goodbye to one of its longest-standing strip casinos. The famous Tropicana Casino was reduced to rubble yesterday, and in true Vegas fashion, that implosion included fireworks, a drone show that you're seeing right there. The resort hotel opened its doors in 1957, then closed them back in April. Once all that dust settles, the space is going to be used for a new Major League Baseball stadium for the Oakland Athletics. And we are following some breaking news out of Colorado tonight, where officials say one person has died after some sort of equipment failure underground at a gold mine. 12 people are still trapped 1,000 feet underground. Joining us now in the studio is NBC News correspondent Brian Chung. Brian, so exactly what happened here? What are officials saying went wrong? And this wasn't an operational gold mine, was it?
Yeah, well, this was a tourist gold mine, but yeah, pretty scary situation unfolding in Colorado. This is about an hour outside of Colorado Springs, but really the headline here is that there's one person dead. There are 11 people that were rescued, but 12 people that are still stuck down here. So basically what we're talking about is a gold mine elevator that could go down 1,000 feet. Gadi, that's about 100 stories, and that's pretty steep. So when we talk about the story of how many people are trapped here, what happened, according to officials, is that the elevator that they were using, again, this is not one of those stainless steel nice elevators. This is one of those kind of mesh wire, gated ones. It fell about 500 feet. The 11 people that were inside at that 500 feet level were able to get back out out to the surface, but there were 12 people that were trapped at the bottom at this moment. Again, the governor of Colorado is assisting, but this is an ongoing situation, and we'll see whether or not they can get those people out there safely.
100 stories. That's just, it's hard to fathom. How are the people that are down in that shaft still doing right now?
Yeah, well, I mean, officials had said as of their last update that they are safe. They were actually able to provide drinkable water in addition to blankets for those that are down there. It can get pretty cold down there in the gold mine. But authorities are saying right now that they're trying to figure out how to get those 12 people out. You can imagine the challenge with this elevator. If there was some sort of malfunction that resulted in this in the first place, you can't use that same elevator to get them back out, which is the reason why authorities are saying there might have to be a plan B and a plan C. Take a listen.
We want to make sure all those things are working well. My druther is that we get everybody up through the elevator system, right? Because sitting in a harness from 1,000 feet down coming up is not easy. So that's our plan B. Plan C they're working on. I'm going to get a briefing on it here shortly. But that's really where we're at.
So again, to harness or even use a rope, as they mentioned, could be a possibility as well. For 100 stories worth of climbing out of that mine is going to be very complicated. We'll have to see how they pull this off.
Yeah, and do we know anything else about this mine? I mean, how old is it? Has anything like this ever happened before?
Yeah, this is called the Molly Kathleen Mine. Again, it's about an hour outside of Colorado Springs in a town called Cripple Creek, Colorado. It's named after the woman who founded it in the 1800s. It was an active mine until about the 1950s, 1960s, when it was converted into a tourist destination. And right now, basically, they kind of advertise hour-long tours where you can go down there. You can find out how miners were able to find gold. But again, it's a tourist attraction that today is enduring a bit of a tragedy.
Yeah, a nightmare scenario. Brian Chung, thanks so much for following it for us. Thank you. And still ahead, the case against Diddy when the trial for music mogul Sean Combs is now set to start and the gag orders already being talked about. That's coming up next. And May 5th of next year is when Sean Diddy Combs will go to trial for his racketeering and sex trafficking case. The judge handing down the date in court this afternoon, just 24 hours after Diddy's attorneys accused the government of leaking surveillance footage of him beating his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, in an attempt to, quote, savage Mr. Combs' reputation before trial. Let's bring in NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalos now to talk a little bit more about Diddy being back in court. So, Danny, let's start with the allegation from Combs' lawyer. What can you tell us about that and the gag order that the lawyer asked to be issued today?
I think you're talking about the allegation that the Diddy's lawyers made that not the government, but it specifically they're alleging that DHS may have leaked the videotape, the infamous videotape of Diddy allegedly beating his former girlfriend in a hotel hallway to CNN. And the government, in documents filed in court, said essentially, and by government, when I speak of the government, for defense attorneys, we're talking usually about the prosecutors, the assistant U.S. attorneys and the U.S. Attorney's Office. And the U.S. Attorney's Office said, we don't know, we can't speak for DHS, Department of Homeland Security, but we did not leak these videos. And so the defense counsel is saying, yeah, we believe you, but you can't speak for DHS. And so the theory that the defense has, and they didn't really file any evidence to support it, was that DHS somehow leaked this videotape. But again, they didn't provide any proof of that. It's just them arguing in emails or really debating it in emails that were filed with the court. So that's the genesis of the request for this gag order.
And federal prosecutors are giving the government 3 weeks to present the case against Combs. Can you talk about what would change if a superseding indictment is filed?
Whenever there's a superseding indictment, it sort of resets the clock, and especially so if there are new defendants. Sometimes if a superseding indictment just adds additional charges based on the same facts or splits some charges up into additional charges, then you won't see a judge really pushing a date out too far. But if there are a bunch of new defendants that are added by a superseding indictment, everybody's got to come back for a new arraignment, and then the timeline is probably going to get blown up, I would expect, if there are new defendants. We don't know that. The Southern District of New York elected to indict only Diddy. But given that their investigation is ongoing, it's not unreasonable to think that there might be new defendants added. Now, the other thing that might happen if there is a superseding indictment is that they simply add more charges against Diddy with no new defendants. But given how broad how wide sweeping this investigation has been, it wouldn't be unreasonable to expect that there might be additional defendants added on in a superseding indictment, which will push the case out likely even further.
Danny Ceballos, thank you. And before we go, it is time for the future of everything, tracking severe weather with more and more accuracy. In the aftermath of Hurricanes Milton and Helene, how AI could be a game changer for meteorologists. Plus, sweet sounds of tradition. We're going to meet the family keeping mariachi music alive in Southern California, so stay tuned. And tonight, the full extent of Hurricane Milton's destruction is just starting to come into focus. But for days, even weeks, meteorologists have been forecasting the storm's path. And when it comes to these mega storms like Milton, what if we could predict where they are headed even further out and even more accurately? Well, enter artificial intelligence. The tech is already starting to play a bigger and bigger role at modeling these storms, helping to create forecasts. These machine learning models can recognize patterns and trends drawn on information about the atmosphere and previous storms, all at a super fast pace. Take Hurricane Francine, that Category 2 that barreled towards the Louisiana coast last month. An artificial intelligence model successfully predicted that storm's path nearly 10 days before it made landfall. And just last month, NOAA announced $100 million in funding for their new supercomputer with a goal to advance research on weather and climate predictions. Let's bring in Dr. Amy McGovern, a professor at the University of Oklahoma who runs the AI Institute for Research on Trustworthy NSFAI for Weather. Amy, thank you so much for joining us. How can AI be a game changer for predicting weather, in particular extreme weather like the ones that we're seeing right now with this hurricane, for example?
Well, I think you gave a great example right at the beginning there. You talked about how AI can help us predict it farther in advance, and I think that's part of the game changer. But also one of the things that AI can do that we can't do with the current models right now is that it can give us an ensemble of methods, and that means that it can give you like thousands of examples of those methods. I think everybody knows that no weather model is perfect, and part of that is that we don't, the physics are really hard to do, and part of that is that the initialization is not completely known. And so doing those ensemble models gives you a picture of all the possible things that could happen. And right now, the current models are really computationally expensive to provide you ensembles, but AI could give you thousands of ensembles. And so you could see all the different ways that the hurricane can hit, for example. And I think that can be a true game changer. And another way that it can do it is just by being faster, right? So we could democratize that weather. And I'm doing that with a startup company, as well as with what we're trying to do with our NSF Institute.
And do we know how AI fared with forecasting Hurricane Milton?
Honestly, the traditional models were really good at that one. And so I actually wasn't tracking the AI models as well on Milton, but I love that you brought up Francine in your intro, because Francine is one where the AI models nailed it even before the traditional models, and that was really nice to see.
And how is it different with the traditional models that we see, those like 5 to 10 different tracks that we see, versus an AI model and, like you were saying, possibly thousands of different versions of that?
You want to know how it's different inside it? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Like what are the traditional models doing differently than an AI model will do?
So the traditional models are modeling physics of the atmosphere, and the way they do it is they take the entire atmosphere and they break it into cubes, and then they have each cube interact with each other cube. And doing that physics is really computationally intensive, and it's not ever completely accurate either, because we don't know the physics down to the molecular level. And the AI models are being used to replace that. These larger scale models that you're talking about are what we call data-driven models, and they're actually learning straight from decades of data that's out there, observations, and they're learning the physics from those. And it's proving to be a game changer.
So it's taking the physics basically from the past and using that, as opposed to crunching all of that computation for each model that we're using right now, right? Is that about accurate?
Yes. So it's learning the physics by looking at decades of data. Rather than being told the physics and here's the equations you have to simulate, it's being told, here's 50 years of data. Could you go learn to simulate what's going to happen in the next 5 years from that?
We know a hurricane's path is so important, especially for people that are living in that so-called cone of uncertainty. How specific do you see this type of forecasting getting in the future?
I think that's actually one of the key things that AI is going to be able to do. I think it's going to be able to give us very personalized forecasts. So very specific, and it really depends on the storm storm type of phenomena that you're talking about. So hurricanes are already relatively specific. They knew for days where Milton was going, and they were quite on track. But for something like a tornado, it's harder to get those tornadoes right hours in advance. But these AI models are going to be able to do that eventually. And maybe the hurricanes we can say 14 days in advance and be very accurate. So I think that specificity is coming, and I think that's really where the game changer is going to come. And then also we're going to be able to make it personalized. So your needs about knowing about the hurricane versus my needs might be slightly different, assuming we were both in Florida, which we're not. But, that AI could be another way that it could be a game changer, because it could give you your very personalized needs and then mine the same.
Wow. So today we are predicting hurricanes. Tomorrow we may be predicting tornadoes. That is wild. Dr. McGovern, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
And finally, in case you didn't know, it is Hispanic Heritage Month. And what better way to celebrate here in Los Angeles than with a little mariachi? We caught up with a SoCal family keeping that unmistakable sound alive. Take a look.
In Los Angeles, football can sound a little different. But to the legions of LA Rams fans with Mexican heritage, this is the sound of home.
Mariachi is, I think, the pride and the passion of Mexico. It's a source of pride. It doesn't matter where you're at in the world. Once you hear, ay, 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 canta y no llores. If you're Mexican,
you're standing up.
Oh, you're standing up and you're
standing
singing.
up and you're getting your lungs ready.
Exactly.
Jose Hernandez is the founder of the official team-sanctioned Mariachi Rams that you might have caught on NFL broadcasts.
We are celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month in style with the Mariachi Rams.
And they're like rock stars at SoFi Stadium.
For Hernandez, mariachi is in his blood. 8 generations of his family have made this music, including his daughter, Maria Crystal.
This music was passed down from father to son, son to grandson, whatever. Just passed down generation through generation.
He's the leader of the groundbreaking group Sol de Mexico. He also founded the first ever American female mariachi group, Reina Mariachi de Los Angeles. They just celebrated their 30-year anniversary.
It was a huge novelty, for the people to see an all-female group at a professional level. Men, for many years, they'd say, that's women, mariachis, they're not serious, but these girls are serious.
Until the trumpets start, right?
Yeah, exactly.
To Crystal, nothing says love like the sound of a mariachi serenade.
Every single event that the mariachis go to is super special, because sometimes it'll be a surprise for a grandma or a mom, and we're walking in, we're playing Las Mañanitas, and they'll just start crying because they know how special it is to have a mariachi come serenade your loved one. I mean, that is like the most special thing in the world.
What do you think your great-great-grandfather would have thought hearing your daughter?
It's very hard to say, because in the old days, they never really, it wasn't even in the plan for women to be mariachis.
My grandpa was a violin player, and so I play one of his violins. I have a great sense of pride, and it's very special for me to get to learn the music that he played for so many years.
Crystal passing that style on to the next generation at the Mariachi Heritage Society, founded by her father, now in 30 schools nationwide.
I'm explaining to these kids what mariachi music is. It's representing Mexico. It's like seeing the Mexican flag, and that it's something to be very proud of.
The music is for everyone, and it truly is a universal language.
A language spoken fluently at SoFi Stadium.
Volver. That's going to do it for us tonight. I'm Gadi Schwartz. We'll see you here tomorrow. But until then, stay tuned now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app, or follow us on social media.